Welcome to New York City. My name is Sherry, and I'm with Sustainable Energy for All.
My name is Evelyn, and I'm a master's student at Columbia Climate School. We're thrilled to launch the hashtag Empower Growth campaign.
We feel this is exactly the right moment to launch the campaign. Why? Quite frankly, because progress on sustainable energy for all, access as well as transition, has been uneven. Far too many young people and communities are falling behind. The Empower Growth campaign is our opportunity to change this. We want to galvanize communities, businesses, governments, and especially you to join this campaign because you can make a difference. Stay tuned, we have an excellent lineup for you, and thank you so much for joining us.
As leaders and change makers gather during the UN General Assembly and Climate Week, the world is watching. Hashtag Empower Growth is our global campaign launching in Times Square. This is our moment to scale solutions and mobilize capital for a clean and just energy transition everywhere. Together, we can create bold impact. Join us.
What a powerful reminder that clean energy is not the promise of tomorrow, but today's revolution. The Empower campaign brings this vision into action. To dive deeper into how this transformation is already underway, I am joined by two incredible leaders that are transforming the future of renewable energy and green industry. I would like to welcome Zoisa Northbond, the CEO of Octopus Energy Generation, and Joshua Amponsen, the co-executive director of the Youth Climate Justice Fund.
Thank you so much, Evelyn, and welcome both Joshua and Zoisa. Great to have you here. I would like to focus now on innovation as a really key driver in terms of pushing the clean energy revolution that we're going to talk a lot about in this discussion. So Zoisa, she has led Octopus Energy Generation to record growth. Octopus Energy Generation is actually now one of the leading clean energy companies. And she manages a portfolio of $9 billion worth of projects, in addition to operating in over 20 countries. So I think that you are actually really well equipped to answer this particular question. I'd like you to just reflect from where you're sitting on how the conversation is shifting from clean energy as a cost to clean energy as a driver of growth and opportunity.
Thanks, Sherry. And I think it's a great point to start because I would say that the main drivers of really shifting the conversation of clean energy now is to do with the lower cost and people choosing green energy because it costs less. We see time and time again across the world that solar and wind in particular, they track as the lowest forms of generation in terms of costs that we can possibly creating. So they're starting to make economic sense. We're also comparing that to other alternatives out there. Wind and solar, of course, are massively abundant across the globe, and nowhere more so than in emerging markets. So we look at Africa, and it's got more than half of the world's potential for renewable energy. So something really quite key can be harvested there. I would say that the cost and the abundance and the fact it's clean are leading to a revolution now in green energy. And even looking to facts and figures this year, it's been absolutely extraordinary to see that imports of solar panels in Africa, for instance, are up 40%. In Europe, I think we're installing rooftop solar 61% more than we were last year. Latin America, the same. Interestingly, in Latin America, it's more decentralized systems that we're now being seen installed, particularly in solar. So I would say what's driving that, it's very much people, and it's because they like it, because it's cheap.
I just wanted to drill down a little bit on that as well. You mentioned Africa. So we're here right now at the start of Climate Week in New York, at the start of UNGA 80. Developing countries are going to take center stage essentially at these gatherings. And just, I know that you're doing an awful lot in the region. You're pioneering in terms of getting renewable energy to these different countries. So can you speak a little bit about that, specifically to Africa?
Yes, I think, of course, when we look at the continent of Africa, it's so diverse, and we forget it's not just one country. Everybody speaks about it as if the continent is one country, but in fact, it's many, many countries with many opportunities. So the way that we're working as Octopus, it's never actually looking at specifically a single strategy that we may have deployed in Europe because it worked. It's actually working with individual markets and local partners to see what really can translate down. So whether or not that's looking at tech, which is one of the things that we're very, very interested and keen on, and we have great models for, but tech that helps improve energy access, say in East Africa, whether or not it's looking at unleashing the capital that's needed to really start to scale some of the great models that we see in wind and solar now, or indeed looking at things in markets for the first time like Sierra Leone and unlocking a wind industry. So for us, it's actually about working with local systems, local partners to really see which parts of the model we can break down and really create that catalytic response and approach to making sure that renewables are something that can be deployed quickly.
Thank you, Zoisa, for telling us more about clean energy innovation and how it is really just driving the economy in Europe and Africa. By 2030, we expect to see 30 million new green industry jobs, and this truly is a valuable opportunity for youth skill development as well as equitable growth worldwide. Joshua, I now have a question for you. So Africa has the youngest population, yet the highest rates of youth unemployment. Many young people are stuck in low-paying and low-skilled jobs, and they are missing out on the opportunity to contribute and shape the green economy. What do you think is the most important thing to reverse this trend, and what are some signs of progress that are giving you hope right now?
Thank you very much. And it's really exciting to put this conversation into perspective, right? First of all, 1 in every 3 young person by 2050 is going to be African. And the headline, beyond that headline, the reality is that a lot of them are indeed stuck in low-paying jobs or sort of manual skilled jobs that are very low-paying. And that is often framed as an African problem. The reality is it's not. It's a global risk. Right, so we are currently in a moment where we are literally on the verge of missing out on opportunity of converting the very people who have the capacity and the ability to lead us towards a just transition. But if we do not skill them and resource them, that is impossible. We're cutting off the supply to the need that we have to actually build a resilient future. So I think there are a few things we can do about them, right? But 3 things are critical, which I'm going to share. One of them is survival. Right? Just think of it from the perspective that what a mess it is if we get our generation to get stuck in a survival mode as opposed to solution mode. And there's a real opportunity there which we can do it. The second is innovation. I think in every place I've been, a lot of young people I've worked with through the fund that we run, young people in Africa are busy innovating, right? Whether that is developing new tech systems for energy efficiency and energy access, whether it's urban planning that enhance efficiency and also combat heat, which is one of the biggest issues there, or even climate smart agriculture, which relies on energy again. There are a lot of innovation there. So that is something we need to capitalize on. Then the third part is justice. We have in a continent that contributes the least to the problem and is being impacted the most. So there's a sort of not just a moral argument, but thinking on the innovation part, a real opportunity to get into that. This is what we can do about it. A, skills development. The new report shows that we can generate 5 million jobs in the energy sector alone, right, in the next 5 years. That's 1 million jobs in 2026, 1 million in 2027, all the way to 2030. That is not going to happen without good academic reform, technical vocational training that allow to skill people, right, not just with fancy degrees, but with, we want professional welders, we want certified, carpentry, we want certified electricians who can actually work with industry to be able to deliver on those 5 million jobs. Currently, we are cutting short on that. So that is one. The second part is investments, right? When I look at climate philanthropy now, only 0.76% of climate philanthropy goes to young people. A lot of that is not going to young people in the global south or in historically underfunded communities. That is why we set up our fund. There is a gap there on providing finance in a flexible and strong manner, an ambitious way to young people so that their innovation is not just something that we can cite as a case study, but we can actually fund it for it to scale at large. Then the third part is the policy environment that allow for collaboration between private sector, public sector, and youth movement. That is currently not at the pace where it has to be, and I think some ingredients around that is we need to build strong trust between institutions. We need to be able to have the conditions that allow for not just people to hold placards on the street, because they want to do more than that. They want to be in policy-making rooms. They want to be able to help design policies and help implement it. And to be able to do that, we need to have trust that young people are not lazy. Young people are not just protesting. Young people are not just demanding. They are ready to do the hard work. They want the trust and the conditions that allow them to come to the table and deliver that.
So when it comes to developing these skills for youth, what do you think are the most important skills, and how do you see us being able to mobilize these finances to develop those skills?
Yeah, there are a few things that are giving me hope, tracing back to the earlier question around hope, right? And one of them is, I worked with someone in 2021 in Ghana who is a young lady, fresh out of bachelor degrees, and currently within 4 years, this person is designing energy solutions in Madagascar, Senegal, Niger, plug-and-play system, training informal workers in these countries to be able to be part of the workforce that make this happen. That gives me hope. That hope is something that we can actually expand if we can back it up with the right investment. Right? So for me, investment and hope should go together. We need to put our money where our mouth is. And if the world says Africa has the largest potential for renewables, then we need to put the financing in there to make that happen. What we need to do on the skill part is I think we need fundamentally educational reforms, right, across our academic institutions. Some of the skills that we need are not always going to be, the formal and the white-collar jobs. It's also going to be the blue-collar jobs, and we need to invest in that. And I think the investment within that sector is not as big as it needs to be now. The second thing I think we require when it comes to this is we need to train a new vision of financial systems, right? Energy is a fundamental pillar of the real economy when I look at a region like Africa. When people have access to energy, it's boosting trade, it's boosting income levels across the whole spectrum. So we need to be able to think, how do we make it affordable? How do we make it more accessible that people can actually tap into this? If not, we could supply energy to abundance of villages, but if they do not have the financing to afford it, we are locking them back into debt, right? So I think really thinking about what are the new financial systems that we need. And I think when I hear the question around skills that are needed, I always think we need skills across the entire spectrum. I want young people not just to be recipients of solutions, but they should be part of design across investment. They should be in boardrooms, they should be engineers, they should be in financial institutions. They should be thinking about how do we recreate our entire economic model now for it to emulate the vision that we have for ourselves, where people who need solutions the most are able to access it, are able to afford it, and are able to be part of the economy around it.
Fantastic. And we've had such a rich conversation today, but I just want to give you each a moment to reflect and then just tell our global audience that's watching now, at Climate Week, at the General Assembly, what are you hoping to see? What's your wish this week?
My wish this week is that we can unlock more capital, more funding to young people. And this, we want it to come in, flexible core multi-year funding that allow young people to be ambitious because they have the ambition. And if that ambition is backed with the right financing, I think the future is unlimited.
Zoisa?
I would say this Climate Week, we've always been so good at unleashing targets, but never really thinking about the ingredients that are going to help us deliver that. And actually, just listening to the conversation we've been having this morning, things like capital and unleashing capital. And I always think back to some of the discussions that we're having at the moment where it would be so simple to be able to say, let's make sure that in these projects that we're assessing, there are parts or there's something that really focuses on skills and making sure that local skills are unlocked as part of this process. So for me, at Climate Week and all of the other climate events that are now coming up this year, I'm really hoping that we start to see some action around really how we deliver those targets, not just the big targets coming out.
So action is really key here. We do a lot of talking at these events. So this campaign, the Empower Growth campaign, will be running until 2030. We encourage all of you to join us on this journey towards a clean energy future. Check our website and stay tuned. We'll be unveiling a lot of activities over the coming weeks.
That's the perfect setup to hear from SE for All's trailblazing CEO, Damilola Ogunbiyi, who is driving this transformation. She is going to close out our program with her vision of where we go from here.
Energy is the golden thread that connects opportunity and ambition. Clean energy solutions are accelerating green industrialization and economic prosperity. But developing countries are at risk of being left behind. They require collective action to meet their targets in the form of capacity building and resource mobilization. Our new campaign, Empower, carries the spirit of collective action. Its call to the world is simple but urgent: empower growth. Because no single actor can do this alone. It will take all of us working together to ensure that clean and efficient energy powers every home, every business, and every future. This is our moment. Together, we can make it unstoppable.